Hi, Lee Phillips here. I want to talk to you about a tax issue for a minute. It's 1099. When do you have to give somebody a 1099? Or when would they supposedly give you the 1099? The 1099 basically tells the IRS that money has changed hands and tax is owed on that money. Now, 1099 came around in 1918 as part of the War Revenue Act. Back then, you had to issue the guy the 1099 if you paid him over $800. $800 in 1918 was a fair amount of money. So it was implemented to make sure that people who got money reported it as taxable income. And it actually helped a lot. It improved by like 90% the reporting of these transactions where an individual got the money. It soon went to $600, and for decades it was $600. You had to issue the guy a 1099 if you paid him over $600. Now, the one big beautiful bill in 2025, July 4th, changed it so that from 2026 on, it's $2,000. I have to issue the guy a 1099 if I pay him over $2,000. So if I pay somebody over $2,000 or $600, whatever it is for the year you're doing it, then when do I have to issue the 1099? If it's the plumber, the gardener, the babysitter, these kind of guys, personal expenses, then I don't have to issue the guy a 1099. I'm going to say loosey-goosey. If you can deduct it from your taxes, then you have to give the guy a 1099. You can't deduct the gardener for you're paying him personally. That's not a deductible expense to you. So no 1099 required. Basically, is it a deduction to you? If you're paying the guy as a sole proprietor, a consultant, I mean, you're the sole proprietor, you're the consultant, you have a trade or business. I don't care if it's incorporated or not, or LLC'd or whatever. If I'm deducting the expense, then I probably have to give a 1099 to the guy. So that's kind of a position that you can take. Now, if you're going to give the guy a 1099, that means you need his tax information. So you have to have him fill out a W-9. And on the W-9, we need his tax stuff: name, address, social security number, or tax ID number if it's a little company, whatever it is. When you have the guy fill out the W-9, make sure that you have him fill out all the information. You need to look at it. Has he listed what type of a company he is? A subchapter S, a chapter C. If it's a subchapter S or a chapter C, and I don't care if it's corporation taxed under subchapter S or an LLC taxed under subchapter S, if it's a subchapter S or a chapter C, I don't have to issue the guy a 1099. So I need to make sure that it's fully filled out. Now, you're going to have the guy fill out his W-9 before you pay him, because that's your leverage to get him to fill out the W-9. If you paid the guy, he probably ain't going to cooperate too well with you. So you've got to get that information up front. Is it an expense that you need to issue a 1099? Then you'd better get the W-9 up front. Make sure it's all filled out, because how he lists himself, subchapter S, chapter C, makes a difference as to whether or not you're going to actually have to 1099 him or not. Now, there are two guys that you've got to 1099 whether they're a chapter C or a chapter S. One is a lawyer and one is a doctor. The IRS finally stuck it to the doctors and lawyers. Now note though, if you're having the guy treat you, you're probably not going to have to 1099 him because you're not deducting it from your taxes. But if your company is paying for this medical treatment or this legal treatment, then you've got to 1099 the doctor or the lawyer under any circumstances. So beware of that. Is it deductible to you? If it is, probably have to 1099, 600 limit before 2026, 2000 limit after 2026, or 2026 and beyond, okay? So get the 1099s for sure out of them. Now, if you're making the payment, write the check and write on it to the John Doe LLC or the John Doe Corporation. And that helps me know that I don't have to 1099 the guy. Now, it could be an LLC as a sole proprietorship, so that's not always the case. But if it's subchapter S or chapter C, then you don't have to worry about it. So think about that. Make sure that you write down, you want to pay a company, you don't want to pay an individual if you can. The other thing that you can do is if you pay with a credit card or with Zelle or Pay or whatever it is, if it's an electronic payment, then I don't have to issue a 1099. The credit card company or the electronic transfer company, they're required to file tax return type stuff. So pay with a credit card, pay with the Zelle or the whatever it is, so that you don't have to issue a 1099 on that. We have lots of different 1099s. The 1099 interest, INT, you get. The 1099 NEC, non-employee guy. Then these, so we've got lots of 1099. 1099K is to pick up the electronic transfers today. So there are lots of different 1099s. You have to file them. You give the guy his copy, and by the way, you have to actually get the 1099 to the guy, and then you give it to the IRS too, so that we match it up. The IRS has their copy, the guy has his copy. Usually that's early February, where you have to give February 2nd or whatever it is, where you have to issue these 1099s and get them out to the individuals. So do the 1099s. Now, I told you that you didn't have to do the 1099 if it was a personal expense. That is true. However, if I have a nanny that's spending full time, no, I don't have to 1099 them. That's an employee. And by the way, don't let yourself get into the trap of having the guy say, oh, I'm a 1099 guy. Well, he might be your employee. And the states and the feds, they're looking for these guys that are issuing 1099s to people when actually the guy is your employee. I have 40 criteria that you go through to determine whether or not the guy's your employee or not. You can get that. Just email the office, info at legalese.com, and ask for the employee versus 1099 criteria. Primarily, if the guy's making all of his money with you, he's your employee. I don't care what he's doing. If he's making money with other guys, but you're controlling his schedule, you're providing the tools, you're doing this, that, and the other, then he's still your employee, even though he doesn't work full time for you. And like I say, the states and the feds, they're coming down on these. They're looking for this one. So be real careful on it. Don't issue the guy 1099s if in reality he's your employee, because you're going to get in trouble and there are going to be lots of penalties possible in that situation. This is Lee Phillips. I've been talking about 1099s and tax stuff. Now, don't forget to love us and like us, and you can ask questions below. I answer the questions. So pay attention. Who's your employee? Who's your 1099? And who you don't have to worry about.